Hi everyone, and welcome to a quick product use demonstration of LitmusDx. So I'm just going to go to trial.litmusdx.com. That's the home site. And once we get there, I'm already logged into Google, so I'll be able to move quickly through to the main page. But essentially, you can create your own username and password if you have a non-OpenID email account. So you can just go here to sign up with a different email address, and the one thing we ask for is your MCI registration number, because we'd like to make sure it's doctors who are using this product. And in case you are about to graduate medical student, then please just enter 4-digit 0000. I also apologize for the odd voice, because I have a bit of a cold, but I hope you can still understand me okay. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to register a new patient. So we're already in the view patient list page. This is the home screen. What I can do is I can start with registering a new patient. For example, if I just want to get John Doe registered, and we'll just make him a 25-year-old male. Just put in a dummy phone number and add a zip code, which is the office zip code. Hit save. That's about all you need. Basically, I just need the name and the age and the gender of the person. The contact information is actually for your benefit. So in case, and after I'm done registering the patient, all I have to do is hit the close button, and I come back to the patient list page. Now I take this John Doe, and I now need to start a consultation. So this much of the work can actually be handled nicely by a front office staff member. And once I start a consultation, I get this pane-based view. Now before we get into any of the specifics of the screen, I think one thing I'd like to tell you is, if I click on the first tab, this is, you get a composite view of everything. So I can click on risk factors, and I can add something, let's say smoking as a risk factor. Once I click on any other pane, I now can punch in signs and symptoms, but also I see smoking up top here. So you get a sort of a quick preview of the prescription you're building in the process of actually writing it out. So if I just put in a couple of general symptoms, generalized abdominal pain, I maybe add some nausea, and I add, well, let's say diarrhea, and I click on Differential Diagnosis. You see a two-pane piece. The first half of the pane is a bunch of more questions that you might want to ask yourself, or rather ask the patient. And I also find that there's some sign of abdominal distension. There is, no sign of bone pain or no bruises. And then I look at the disease list, and I get a bunch of potential options, kind of a mix of infectious diseases and GI conditions, which seems about right, I would say. After which, I can pick on any one of these diseases. Let's take irritable bowel syndrome, and it's an incredibly sick patient. So I've put in 2 possible diseases. The idea is to show to you that you can have kind of a primary disease and also a secondary list of morbidities. So you just don't have to stay focused on one diagnosis alone. So you can always, of course, go back to a pane. You can add and delete stuff. You can also add free text entries. So if you look at improper behavior, I don't know why somebody with abdominal pain would behave improperly, but it takes it up. So this, though, doesn't help the engine run anything, but at least it gives you the documentation you want. And over time, we'll look at good natural learning systems that will help us process these kinds of free text entries also. So the point is that you have a comprehensive recording system independent of the intelligence components that are built in here. I can review treatment protocols. Get a bunch of them for irritable bowel syndrome. We're still building out the stuff for viral gastroenteritis. Ongoing diarrhea predominant. And I pick amitriptyline and I hit OK. And I get the amitriptyline, 10 mg tablet, and then I pick one of the brand names. What we'll get to you as a patch very quickly is we'll also get an autofill of the dosage component. So right now we're not filling that up automatically. It's coming very soon. You can also add the timing. So you can say that this is something that you need to have one tablet of once, or let's say twice a day for 4 days, and one dosage is after breakfast and the other is after dinner. So that's that. All right, so that takes care of this entry. You see that in the medication list. You can also then, suggest some kind of a procedure. We won't get into much, but I'm just picking up something at random. But you can actually plan for a given procedure on a given date. So I'm just throwing in just something off the cuff, but allows you to also build a referral data set, and of course any notes about dietary changes, lifestyle changes, next consultation dates, and so on and so forth. It would really help us, of course, as if as an alpha user you also entered the body weight of the patient, because as a lot of you well know, a lot of dosage information, for roughly we estimated about 15% of all treatment protocols actually depend on the weight of a patient. So right now we're using the Indian standard codes to convert, to look up weights based on ages, but it'd be really helpful if you gave us some indication of the patient's body weight. Even a visual estimate would be quite accurate and help us prescribe better. So that's basically it. I can of course also go back here, review what kinds of tests are being recommended. I can pick up a couple and hit OK. Goes into the investigation pane. Now, one thing is important. All of these panes are independent. So you can choose to only enter a disease, enter 2 drugs, and then go all the way through to the prescription, to the end of the prescription. There is absolutely no compulsion at all for you guys to have to use the intelligence built in. So it acts as a pure archival system, standalone, where you have the option of using or not using the intelligence system. Okay, so then I hit done and get a prompt. The only thing that we've kind of forced every doctor to look at is prescription-related precautions. So that's the prescription-related precautions. There's no DDI, which is, there's a single drug, so there's of course no DDI. Contraindicated for patients with MIs. You've got one potentially fatal cardiac complication and a bunch of other stuff, just something useful to keep in mind. And as we build the system out further, we'll make this part also more intelligent, so that we'll be able to, work through drugs, choice of drugs and protocols based on what preconditions a patient has. That's going to take us a little bit of time. So we go all the way through, and you get a print prescription prompt. And of course, I'm just saving the first page. I'm just going to put it on my desktop. And voila, I think we have a prescription which, hold on, looks a little bit like this. So that's the prescription that we just punched in. So just sort of flipping back to the UI, the prescription and the. Now, after I've processed a patient, let's say John Doe comes back 2 days later for a second checkup after having taken medicine for 3 days, not gotten any better. You can find him in your patient list, select him and say add patient to queue. What this does is, now this patient is back in the queue. Now, you've not lost his earlier record. If I click again on John Doe and I look at view prescriptions, I can always see all of John Doe's previous prescriptions. But just to save you data entry time, you can just quickly search for a patient, find him, and add him back to queue. If the patient is already in queue in this case, and you can start another consultation. And in this pane, if I now hit view records, I actually can see the last prescription that John Doe got from me. Alright, so that's just how the informatics is built, just to make it very easy, very facile for you guys to go from one place of the screen to other. So that's what we have, and that's about as long as I'd like to keep going on. I'm just going to cancel out on this. Now, in case you see a pop-up like this, it's a small point, but your data will not be saved. Are you sure? Okay, I'm sure I want to exit, but please don't check this box. Please do not check this box, because if you prevent this page from creating additional dialogues, I will not be able to give you any kind of control over, doing unintended actions. So if you see this check box, don't be tempted, don't check it. That's about all I have to say.